Still talking economics, the Monetary Policy Committee of Nigeria's central bank has retained key lending rates at 11.5%. The governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, announced this on Tuesday, saying it's part of its effort to boost the economy towards the sustainable recovery from the recession. Joining us now for more is a financial analyst and the managing director of Afrinvest Research, Mr. Abiodun Keripe. Mr. Keripe, it's good to have you join us. Great.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Well, let's quickly jump right into it. What does this mean for the Nigerian economy, this new peg that the CBN has put, and how will this aid recovery from following the latest figures showing Nigeria has officially gone
into a recession.
I mean, from last week we started hearing stories about the fact that we are in a recession, although certain economists have told us that we had been in a recession. It's just that it wasn't official.
All right. So yes, indeed, with the outbreak of the pandemic, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, great. With the outbreak of the pandemic and how that has impacted on economies globally, and even Nigeria has impacted on trade, impacted on demand, we could see how that also have impacted on the oil market in terms of lower demand and weak oil prices, which basically are very key variable for the Nigerian economy. And by the first quarter of 2020, we saw GDP growth drop to about 1.8%, and by Q2, that GDP number contracted to about 6.2%, the weakest contraction ever on record. And now by Q3, and that already signaled, which is attests to what you just said, it already signals that the economy might be sliding into a recession, given the sort of measures that were adopted to combat the impacts of the pandemic or to slow down the rate at which the virus would have spread. We saw a total lockdown on economic activity, which affected key sectors of the economy, from agriculture to trade to manufacturing. Basically, it was just the essential services that were operational. And for some of those sectors, the impact is major, because you could see that there was a sharp drop in demand, a sharp drop in productivity. And that already signaled that Nigeria will be sliding into a recession. Now, and officially, the Q3 number then just confirms it. Now, speaking to the monetary policy decision to hold interest rate and some of the other market variable at the current levels, interest rate at 11.5%, or benchmark interest rate 11.5%, really, that does not mean so much for the Nigerian economy, because to start with, the MPR, that's the monetary policy rate, has become a somewhat symbolic rate over the last 3 to 4 years. It's just been pretty symbolic. Market has looked on to other rates, for instance, the OMO rate, the rate on the treasury bills market, to determine what will happen to interest rate generally. So the MPR has majorly just been a very symbolic rate that really doesn't guide the market to do anything. And that's why you will see that the market has already started to react to lower interest rates, given that they saw what the CBN has been doing in terms of the issuance of OMO and how they've been contracting the rates in the OMO market, and how they've also been able to bring down the rate at treasury bills and the bonds market also down. And that has been the key anchor for the market. And what this means is that returns on investment will remain significantly weak, particularly if you just oppose it with inflation rate that continues to spike. We last saw inflation at about 14.23% for the month of October. Compare that with probably an average of about 0.2% treasury bill rate. That clearly tells you that investors are basically dealing with massive negative return of about 14%. And then speaking to the impact of leaving MPR where it is without taking no decision to either increase or reduce it, and how this really supports the economy. Well, the NPR, like I earlier said, is just symbolic. It really doesn't guide so much for the economy. But if we look at it in another sense, for banks majorly, they've been able to bring down the cost of lending to the real economy, and which is one of the key focus of the monetary policy committee, to see how they can boost growth in the economy. So they've been able to, in some way, with the increase in the LDR to 5%, and then subsequently compelling banks to try and bring down the rate at which it is to the real economy, we then may going to see a pickup in lending, which will boost productivity in the long run.
All right. Thank you so much for speaking with us. Unfortunately, we've run out of time, but thank you for speaking with us. We appreciate it. You gave us a few, pointers to what we need to know about the monetary policy. Thank you so much. Well, that's all we have for you on the news this morning. We'll bring you more stories on our subsequent bulletins. I'm Mariana Kon. Thank you for watching.